Let's see if this is the real Colonel Pillow. If it is, then we are in for a treat here. Is this you, Colonel?
Well, how you doing tonight?
I recognize that voice. It is indeed the military hero, Colonel Jim Pillow. What say you, sir?
Hey, one, you recognize me. That's good. Then I cannot say that I'm not a little bit crazy. So we have to go from there. Okay. Hey, I heard the former enlisted Navy personnel talking about the veterans he was talking to, and I don't know what Navy he was in, because let's start. Okay, where do we start? What bothered me was, the biggest thing that Spencer did was jump the chain of command. His requirement was to go to the Secretary of Defense and have that pushed up that, hey, we don't, we don't agree with the president. Can you get him to mitigate or change his stance or his order? Now, Spencer is saying he does not respect or approve of being sent, getting a tweet about what the president wants to do. Now, that's right out stupid. Look, and this is a military organization. I said last night that, a little green card, I'm not talking about a sticky. In message traffic, the old days, I think they've computerized this part of the puzzle. As an OPSO, I get a little yellow slip from the commander telling me what to do. I want to do that. And if I get a verbal over the radio, I'll do that. Or if his driver runs in and tells him this is what the commander wants, that's what I do. So I don't understand where this guy. I'm sitting there going, the former enlisted person should think about, okay, the Master Chief told me to do this job this way, but I don't think the Master Chief's right. I'm going to go talk to the section head, the Navy lieutenant. He will not get fired, but by the time the chief gets through with him, he would wish he'd been fired or shot.
Yeah, from the stories I've heard, you're exactly right. I think that this is like, I hate to use the terminology that Bolton threw out about, Giuliani and everything over in Ukraine, but what kind of drug deal are you trying to cook up when you're going around the Secretary of Defense to the president and trying to do whatever type of agreement with the president about, what would happen here in this case with Eddie? I thought the whole thing was weird, to be honest.
Absolutely. The thing is, though, Spencer didn't go to the president. Spencer went to other people he knew in the White House trying to get them to set up something with the president.
That's even worse. I think that you could be brought up in military charges for that.
But Spencer's a civilian. He works for the DOD, but he's still a civilian. Okay, now it's Rear Admiral Green is somebody that we can talk about. That actually they've got a IG inspector for insubordination defying Trump's action. That would be Rear Admiral Colin Green. That was the Naval Special Warfare Commander. Now, Navy IG is looking into that now. So we're going, okay, but I wrote this stuff down and I can't quite. It's okay. We got, Glenn got me on a new computer with a good speaker and all this stuff. I got a broken speech pattern. So
you sound good. You sound good.
Well, okay. Thank you for that.
I'm not going to tell you your syllables are all lined up, but your sound is actually good.
Okay, my syllables may not be lined up, but okay, we go back. Now, Spencer also threatened the president of the United States, made a threat to the president. He said, if you continue to be involved in the Gallagher case, I will resign. And so did Rear Admiral Green. That's another one. You're going to challenge the commander in chief. He's got to go. And then on top of that, by him doing, challenging the president and jumping the chain of command and trying to get some type of drug deal done, he's put the brand new Secretary of Defense in a bad position. This guy is brand new. He has to establish himself as the person in charge, and that left the Secretary of Defense absolutely no other choice but to fire him. And I'm sure Trump was, yeah, go ahead and do it. So, that's what we're looking at now.
Well, absolutely. I mean, but you got one shot with Esper here, and we all kind of walked through the minefield just to get him through the aftermath of General Mattis, is what I call like the the soft subterfuge. He was kind of laying out that deck in popsicle sticks for Esper. I didn't like any of the way that thing went down. And, when this stuff starts happening, it seems to be that people are the element of commander in chief. The problem is, Trump never having served and the whole 4F bullshit that followed him around. The problem is not that, I don't think. It's a fact that it all started with draft Dodger Willie, right? That whole, you go from a legitimate war hero and Herbert Walker Bush, you get draft Dodger, pot smoking Willie, and then you go into did he or didn't he serve, or how did he manage to get out of whatever he was supposed to do in George W. And then after that we go, where the hell are we at? We're in no man's land. We're with a guy that we don't even know if he believes in the Constitution of the United States or was even born in the continental United States, with Obama, who showed largely disdain for the military. And now we've got Trump, who is sometimes like an overeager Labrador to praise the military, not realizing that the military is a complex, almost impossible puzzle of bureaucracy and politics and things that no layman could ever figure out. So I'm worried that he hasn't gotten it figured out yet.
You're talking about the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Don't even go there. But anyway, Trump spent a couple of years in a military prep school before he went to college.
Yeah.
So he's got
let's not overstress that.
He got a flavor for it. But it's just a good manager trying to do the right things. But something else I don't think the prior Navy enlisted personnel has been following this Gallagher's case. And let's see, I made a mistake last night. I said he'd been put on trial 5 times. It's only 4 times. Okay. And then the judge wrote formal complaints against the 2 NCIS agents that apprehended Gallagher and the treatment they did to him. They're no longer working in NCIS. Also, the way he got this last one, how they brought it down to that one thing about he was guilty for having a picture made with a dead jihadist terrorist or whatever. That's it.
They called that unbecoming. Then was that the charge?
Yeah, hang on. I'll give exactly what it is. Oh no, did I go too far down? It's was found guilty of dishonoring his service, which is the Navy, by posing for a picture with a dead militant after his 4th trial. Okay, typo. But the guy is an ISIS terrorist, and so he's a militant bull crap. So that they whitewashed it. But like I was saying, at the end of the trial, the judge got so perturbed about the prosecutorial misconduct that he took away a lot of the stuff they were saying, because there were issues with exculpatory evidence, discovery wasn't done properly, and other things. And so that's why it got it down to just that one thing. And then Trump comes and says, no, he's pardoned. It's all hands off. And if the president says hands off and you defy him and try this other thing about taking his trident pin away, and you're going, what is going on? I mean, so now we go back to thing is, so the perfect example we need to show that Rear Admiral Green he's on a power trip, or he's just got a personal beef with Gallagher, is that he not only had set for trial to review Gallagher and take his trident pin away, but he also got the 3 officers that Gallagher had served under, and he was bringing them up for review. I think there was one lieutenant commander, and I can't even pronounce that name, but 2 lieutenants, Lieutenant Jacobs and Lieutenant McNeil, and Bertschich, Berisch, lieutenant commander, and they was bringing them up also for this review on December 2nd. So the thing is, now Green also told the president that if the president continued to be involved with the Geller case, he would resign, and he hasn't resigned. And he changed his tune the day after. Well, I guess it was this morning that no, I didn't say anything like that after the Secretary of Navy got fired. So just wanted to say I don't understand why veterans do not understand jumping the chain of command and how much trouble you get in. And the reason I'm also looking at is that you don't want to try to go around the chain of command, because somebody at the next level is going to report that up in a discussion with, or their meetings, and that's going to go right up to the general. If it doesn't go to the chief of staff, chief of staff, and then to the general, then it's so that I'm assuming that that's probably what happened inside the White House, and Trump got teed off and just went through and.
Well, I think you would agree that in this politicized environment, the most likely consternation that some officers are going to have about Trump's ability to keep a steady hand on the wheel, geopolitically or in foreign conflicts in general. These generals, as I was saying earlier, we're talking about, and high-level Pentagon officials, they're politicians too. They got to where they got because they know what to do to keep and attain power. And if they don't like something that the president's doing, it's no shock to me that they're going to be part of a system. They don't function the same way that the congressional political adversaries do to try to take president down. They have their own way of doing things. Now, in some ways, I've defended the Pentagon has indeed, in some cases, I believe, bailed the president out. And I believe that the Syrian issue is one of them. And they're just giving him the chance to, look better than what he would have looked if he got his actual orders initiated and carried out. I see that after 3 years that I am impressed, and I am absolutely supportive of Trump's the way he treats the military. Almost like it's in awe. But what I don't like is the fact that he seems to yet embrace the commander-in-chief, the buck stops here type of mentality. Maybe this lesson, Colonel, will be the one that makes him understand. All right? With all the shuffling that's gone around, I have a real problem with the fact that John Kelly has made, more than oblique, I would say he's made dead-on political comments. Jim Mattis has tried to skirt it, but he's writing a book, for God's sakes. He's written a book, and he's going on these tours. I mean, I think Trump, from his perspective of seeing things that close, he's starting to doubt. When he went into office, you remember,
yes,
he loved it. He loved all these guys. He wanted to be surrounded by generals. He wanted them all around, right? He was like, okay, well, they fired Flynn, I'll bring in McMaster. I'll bring in Dunford. So I'll start bringing in all these people. And then you find out that these generals are politicians that are more polished. Yeah, more polished politicians, smarter at the game than you will ever be, Mr. President. Don't take an insult to it. The fact is, they spent their entire lives doing this, getting situated where they got in. So I'm saying, listen, I think this was a bad situation. I think you're highlighting it in the correct overarching theme that this is not the way to conduct yourself at the height of a secretary or military cabinet level, whatever type of transcendence you want to use. Trump also has to take a lesson from this. You cannot put the thumb too heavy on the scales of what has been a very structured military disciplinary service, from the tribunals to the AWOL to Leavenworth. Just because somebody's story captured our attention, or they were a member of the special services, and there was a movie made about it, something like that. I think Trump needs to separate himself from that Hollywood drama side and just be a cold, calculating commander-in-chief.
Okay, I personally think there's a problem with the JAG Corps, with the lawyers that they're putting out there. I don't know what type of indoctrination they're giving them.
Hmm.
They think that they are in charge of everything and they know everything. And like I've said 100
Well, they're
times,
trying to make a name for themselves the same way the goddamn attorney generals and district attorneys do in every state across this country. That's
and
what's
that's
happened.
I know that's not their job.
I
And
know.
the thing is, like I said, McKernan had to throw the lawyer, the military lawyer. I think it was an army guy. He had to throw him out of the command tent of the COC, Command Operations Center,
Mhm.
because he kept interrupting during they're trying to explain the operation and how it's going to work in briefings, and he kept interrupting, saying, "You can't do this, you can't do that." He's a major, talked to a 3-star general, you can't do this. And he finally threw him out, told the MPs, don't let him come back in. I'll send for him. I need him. And you're talking about the rules of engagement that they've got, the guys that these young lieutenants have got to call back to get approval to shoot somebody is a lawyer that's never seen combat, never been on the front line,
Yeah.
doesn't know what to do. And he's looking at a book. Well, you can't shoot at these guys. And you've got former lieutenants in jail for shooting down people that turned out to be jihadists with a bomb on the bike, and they shot them down, but they didn't have approval from this JAG officer back in the rear about being able to engage. You can't do that.
Yeah, but isn't that what we decided we were going to do at the onset of this presidency? That we were going to change the rules of engagement in a way that was going to limit the criminal liability for these soldiers?
We did.
We did, but now I'm starting to see the pushback on the other end. Now I'm starting to see the pushback. I think that I hate to use words like conspiracy, but I think there's a conspiracy within the JAG officers, that's a secret leftist club that might be out there, the enforcement of the military Bible on all this kind of thing. And I think that they're afraid of movies like glorifying Chris Kyle or Marcus Luttrell. I think those are the real problems. I think, the Special Forces guys under an intense amount of pressure because they have gotten a shit ton of Hollywood promos done over the last 8 years. And I don't think the military at large, at least at the top, they don't like it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And the other thing is, during the Obama 8 years, he retired about 450 general officers, making room to move people up that he approved up and moving them over 8 years. They could get 1, 2, maybe 3 stars. Once you get 1 star, they can promote, instead of having a set time limit, they can promote you 1 year after another. If you're that good, you can move every year, get another star if you're that good. Yeah. So he replaced them all. Now talk about Kelly and Mattis. Mattis is an outstanding field general. He did an outstanding job in Iraq. And Kelly did a great job as a commandant, but they're totally political animals. But when you got them out of uniform and put them in the political side of the house, I guess they just rub people the wrong way.
It's always been. I mean, we have a short memory in this country, but come on, let's go back. World War II created a legion of politico generals, and that thought at some points that they had more say than the president himself, until one of them actually became the president. I mean, there's MacArthur's, there's Pattons, there's Bradley's, and of course there's Eisenhower's. And that doesn't end there, because then, you get into this Westmoreland period in the Vietnam area, and he is completely undercut by the Pentagon white shirts. And then it goes on. It goes on to Schwarzkopf, who wanted to be a hero. And then Colin Powell, who decided, I'm going to try to be a low-key hero and then insert myself on the larger stage and be a man of distinct service, and then lie to the American people about weapons of mass destruction. And so I think America,
Adam, I still believe they were there. They were there. They just
I believe that they were there too, but I believe that Colin Powell is not lying when he said he never believed it, but he said it anyway. And that's a man that hasn't passed the character test with me. Okay. I will take Colonel Pillow's word that for whatever reason you believe that they're there, and you go over there and you find that they're not there. I'm not going to blame you. What I'm going to blame is a guy who just wants to be, Secretary of State, off his Joint Chiefs duties, off of Ronald Reagan's name, off of co-opting. I'm not going to use that word, but I don't know what the up or down on the Norman Schwarzkopf with the first Iraq conflict. But I'm just saying that he wanted to be up here. And in order to get there, he used some really shitty intelligence, because if the intelligence was right, we would have eventually have found it. The point is, no way out for him. There's no way out for him. Now he hates Donald Trump. And now he turns his back on everybody who said that there were weapons of mass destruction there. And to that, I say he has very little moral character.
Well, the task force of WMD, weapons of mass destruction. I was working with those guys and trying to tell them, why don't you do this, why don't you do this, giving them suggestions on where they should look and what they should be looking at. A year and a half, 2 years after I got home, I ran into the major that was their military liaison, and he said they were sitting there going, we should have listened to that lieutenant colonel, because we would have found the stuff they're looking for. The stuff that the UN nuclear biological guys that went through and checked all these areas, this WMD group went through and found laboratories after laboratories in place that the UN had just checked a couple of months before, but they were tearing through walls and things like that trying to find it. They found that. We also watched them dispose of a lot of chemical weapons.
Why didn't we find them? And if you pay attention to the rumors that have been abound for a couple decades here, we had sources within our own, not just military intelligence, but in our own CIA that may have helped move some of these things into other countries. We've heard Libya, we've heard Syria, we've heard other types of destinations for these weapons. And if you watch Hollywood, they glorified this with the movie, I think it's called Green Zone or whatever, with Matt Damon, a guy who hates the U.S. military. I mean, that's all that's left in the American psyche.
The Green Zone is a joke. I was there at the same time. The stuff they're talking about happening didn't happen.
It's sad. It's sad because Hollywood then gets to write the history as if they were the victors, when in fact that's not it at all. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you jump off so other people can jump on. But I want to say one thing. I don't think we're done talking about what just happened. I think people are slowly understanding. Right now they look at this as a top level bureaucratic misunderstanding in the military as far as what's going on with Gallagher, the Trident, and the Secretary of the Navy, and the Secretary of Defense, and the President, and all this other stuff. This story is only going to continue to bring more, fruit off the limb, and so thank God we have you coming up Sunday night.
Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I'll let you go and let more people get on here. But I just wanted to say those couple of things. And if you want to talk about WND offline, that's a good story.
Well, we could do it online some night. People want to hear the real damn story. But I think most people just want to say thank you for your service, because we bust each other's balls all the time. You and I and Glenn. But, one thing that you have on us is the fact you can still kick both of our asses. You have served. You put it all on the freaking line. And everybody on here owes you a daily debt of gratitude, sir. Even though you may not think you should be in receipt of it every day, I think that's how you build freedom. It's the sacrifice of one man's will at a time. And the fact that you got to live after making that sacrifice is good for us, because we get to hear from you. But many, many people, and I spent Veterans Day weekend at where everybody should be, and that was in Arlington, man. And I can tell you one thing, Colonel, when you walk through Arlington Cemetery, particularly on that weekend, words are not wanted, words do not suffice, and every monument buried into the ground, whatever shape, form it is a testament to action, not words, because words alone will never save any democracy. Words alone will never preserve your freedom. It is a covenant of action, and those men that lay there now, they forged that covenant. So listen, if you don't have anything to do next year at that time, I suggest you go there and you pay your respects to the people who literally sacrificed it all so that we could have this freaking conversation on a cell phone.
Well, thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate that. I always look at it, I was just doing my job and doing the best I can with my job. And
you did it.
I've been to Arlington several times. It's very.
I know you have. I'm talking to the audience at large here. That until you embrace that, I don't know what you call it, Colonel. It's something that words are not only just insufficient, but they seem discordant and almost like cacophonous. You don't want to say them. You're trying to keep your kids quiet, which isn't easy. But it's a place where silence is the only proper way to show respect. And by the grace of God only, you're here talking to us and not laying there yourself. So we appreciate that. We salute you.
Well, thank you. And I'll jump off here. I just don't know how to do that. But okay, I'll have to have Glenn show me how to do that stuff. All right. Thanks, Adam. I'm out of here.
Thank you, Colonel. So that was, Colonel. We don't always get a chance to talk. Colonel and I like to bust each other's balls on comments and stuff when I'm on and when he's on. But you're talking to a legit American hero there, talking about real issues that are going on right now, and a lot of people in this military system, this military complex, that think that Trump somehow overstepped his bounds, when in reality that's not how not the folks on here tend to see it.
Thanks for watching the MAGA Coalition channel. Remember to subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on to get the best political analysis that is free of clickbait and gaslighting, because in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act.